Good evening. Today is April 11th. It is about 6:49 p.m. This is a committee of the Law and Ordinance, and I'm sitting in for Mrs. Lynn Snee, who is our chairperson, who is absent this evening, and to my right is Councilman Todd Sievert, and myself, Bob Phillips, as one of the other committee members. We are here to talk about some proposed amendments to Chapter 721 related to mobile vendor licensing, and who's going to lead the discussion here, staff report?
Mr. Bruner is.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Taylor. I'm the City Zoning Inspector. So before you tonight, it's proposed amendments to Chapter 721, vendors of the codified ordinances. So the main goal behind this project was to really make it more streamlined for the applicants and to really open it up and make it more efficient, but at the same time, keep the safety a part of it for the concerned citizens. So in 2021, city staff conducted research throughout the Miami Valley and municipalities to compare regulations pertaining to mobile food vehicles. The research showed a variety of differences in regulations and operational standards for food trucks. After reviewing the research, staff identified the best practices that allow for greater flexibility and opportunities for the operation of mobile food vehicles. The following are recommended changes to Streamline or Ordinance pertaining to mobile food trucks. So change the name of a mobile food vehicle vending license to mobile food vehicle registration. Combine sections involving vendor license and mobile food vehicle registration. Update two definitions, one for mobile food vehicle and two for mobile food vehicle registration. Require a list of all employees operating a mobile food vehicle to the Troy Police Department for a background check. Alter language in section 72106 pertaining eligibility for a license. Eliminate a fee for a mobile food vehicle registration. Extend licenses for a term of 1 year from granted issuance date. Require only a single valid vendor's license. Allow mobile food vehicles in all zoning districts. Increase time limits in the public right-of-way to 4 hours. And decrease the distance mobile food vehicles can operate within an eating place. And overall, increase the hours of operation up to 15 total hours, 7 to 10 p.m. And this has been reviewed and discussed between all departments, whether it be development, chief police, parks director, director of recreation, and law director. So,
thank you, sir. I'm just going to go down your list there of all the changes there and ask 2 or 3 questions off of the points that I have. What is the distance that we're going to decrease for the mobile food vehicles that they could now, or if adopted, could operate within an eating place?
So it went from 100 yards to 100 feet.
Got it.
So,
okay. For the licensing of the vehicle, so we're going to ask for one license for the vehicle itself and not for a particular person?
yeah, so I'll take you through a scenario. So if you're just an owner or operator of a mobile food vehicle, you as the owner or operator would come in and you would obtain the vendor's license, but the way it's written is that you would, if let's say you have 2 or 3 trucks, you would then register all vehicles used in your operation, but only get charged at 25 because there's only one valid vendor's license. But you would still then be required to submit a list of all employees to do a local background check or a background check by Troy PD.
And I'm going to ask a question because that is a new one. We've only done previously the issued licensed person, a background check on them. Why would it be necessary to have a background check on all of the employees of a mobile food vehicle when no other business as a restaurant or a brick and mortar has to do that sort of thing?
I think that would be better answered by our chief of police.
Okay.
So the way it currently works is that you're required to get a mobile food truck license and a vendor's license. So we are checking, your background, and the person that needs to get the vendor's license is anybody that's making sales. So they're not always one and the same person, but we'd like to know who's operating the ice cream trucks running through town. So if I, as the mobile food, as the vendor license, owns an ice cream truck, yet I have an employee that is running it through the town, we'd like to know who that is. And that's kind of where that background check for each employee that's going to be operating it comes from. The way the laws wrote, we actually tell people that if you have more than one person making sales in that food truck, you may need more than one vendor's license. So you need the mobile food truck for $25, the vendor's license for $25, and if you have two people that are cashiers, you might need to pay $75 to register one mobile food truck. Most places, though, take our advice and just register one person as the cashier, and so it costs them $50. That is one of the probably most frequent complaints that we get at the station, is the cost to register a mobile food truck, because they need the mobile food truck license and the vendor's license for one truck.
Well, that is a very large concern for me, having been the participant or licensee for a nonprofit in town that does operate a concession trailer. Because with volunteers, you never know who, what, when, and where with each event that does come up. And for a nonprofit, you know, a $25 hit can eat into their profits considerably.
Right, under this proposal, the $25 for the vendor's license would go to the main user, or the president of the Kiwanis, I believe it is. And then we would want just a list of all the employees, and you could add to that as the year goes on.
Okay. If
you had new employees come in and say, hey, these are the employees that are gonna work this event, can you do the local background check? And there would be no additional charge.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks, that answers that. Let's see. I think that checks all my boxes. Thank you,
Okay.
Taylor.
Yeah.
Any questions, Mr.
No, but I
Seaver?
love the Joey Graves quote. So you're going to eliminate the vehicle registration fee.
Yes,
So,
That's correct.
So you just get the vendor's license now.
yeah.
Okay.
It'll be one valid vendor's license. And you can register as many trucks as that you would use in an operation
Without paying a fee.
without paying the fee.
But each one of those cashiers then has to get a vendor's license.
No, that's not correct. So,
Has to have a background check.
They have to get a background check, but they're not gonna have to get and pay a separate fee.
there will only be one $25 fee.
Background check.
The cost for a background check?
What's the cost of a background check?
We don't charge for background checks.
Okay.
Yeah, there would only be one fee associated with it. It'd be $25 just for the license holder, and they can register. It's a very friendly approach to, you know, register all the vehicles used. Because sometimes there is multiple fleet operations,
Right.
so.
We don't have anything to do with the health department regulations, right? They'll come and do that on their own.
Yeah, correct. So they still have to follow, there's still subsections in here. They still follow all local and, you know, federal, state laws. And then they still have to come in to the county and get their
Their
health
health department.
requirement, yeah.
There's an inspection with that also, and a full list of rigmarole to go through. Any other?
I don't have anything, no.
Okay. Any other council folks that, yes, Mr. Shaw?
Okay, under the regulations, they have to buy the sticker has to go on the vehicle, and that
Yeah.
sticker has to be replaced every year? Or just one sticker?
Currently, it's that it expires at the end of the calendar year.
This will be expiring at the end of the
At the-
year that they buy
after
the
year.
license.
Yeah, after a year of granted issuance date. So, yeah, that's allowed, because I've talked to some people that, you know, they come in for one event later in the year and only lasts until December 31st, the way it's written. So this would be, you know, giving them the whole year to operate. So it's a very friendly approach.
And then, back to this cashier thing, still not certain, I don't understand that. In other words, that the cashier has to get, you said they have to get a vendor's license?
The owner operator would of
The
the,
owner operator.
Of the
but if they have-
operation.
But if they have somebody, an employee being a cashier, what is the requirements for that cashier then?
that owner operator turn in a list of all employees. So David Troipedy would conduct a background check just on all the
And
employees.
that's required of all restaurant employees in the city of Troy, right?
No.
This
No.
is not.
We don't do that for restaurants?
Not for brick and mortar,
Why not?
because they're not mobile.
It's
It's
kind of an
totally
apples and
different.
oranges with the mobile vendor versus brick and mortar. It is, having been involved with that a long time, it is.
It's similar to what we do for door-to-door sales, and that's kind of where that comes from, is we require door-to-door salesmen to have a background check done by us, and that's kind of where we're coming from on this, is that it's comparable to a door-to-door salesman.
Because any Tom, Dick, and Harry with an Ohio Health Department sticker or registration can come into your city and vend. But we're requiring that they be licensed by us and their employees know.
And the thought is, and where I've encountered this on the road before, is with your ice cream trucks. We have ice cream trucks that'll come up from Dayton. They're owned by a company or an owner that doesn't drive those. We want that driver of the ice cream truck to go through at least a background check, because we want to make sure he's not a sex offender, or she.
Yeah, but you could get that same information from the tax information that's filed every year. In other words, these people get a vendor's license in the city of Troy. I'm sure our tax department files up at the end of the year and said, you know, we need a business tax.
Mr. Schilling, tax information is all confidential. We can't share that with anybody.
Yeah, Chief is correct in that the door-to-door salesman analogy is the best fit for what we're dealing with here. And from a law enforcement standpoint, you absolutely want that control or knowledge.
So the next question then is that if a community like Westlake decides that they want to have a food truck to celebrate their 50th anniversary of being in business or being in existence, and that's essentially private property, they can now have a food truck go out there and provide food for the residents to help celebrate their anniversary.
Yeah, correct. So, yeah, they're allowed to go in all zoning districts now, and then, yeah, they would just have to obtain the vendor's license and register the vehicle.
So what's our course of action if someone fails the background check?
We've denied the permits. It's rare. I think I had one food truck out of 15 that I denied last year, and of the 100 door-to-door salesmen that applied for vendors permits last year, I think we denied 3 of them. And there's an appeals process wrote into that where they can appeal it to the service safety director. And I'd also like to clarify on the other paperwork from the health department. We don't do any health inspections, or we don't, check their taxes or anything like that, but we make sure that they have their health department certificates. Usually that's a certificate issued by the Ohio Department of Agriculture and an inspection certificate issued by the Miami County Health Department. And so they have to provide copies of those to us. We don't actually do the inspections.
So do we define what's going to prohibit somebody from being a cashier?
Yeah, we do. We have a list of convictions within a certain time frame that are ineligible.
And we define those convictions?
Those are defined in the ordinance, and they're currently defined in the ordinance right now. I think it's 7 years.
You can't kill anybody, you can't be
Yeah.
convicted.
There's no homicide, any homicide conviction will disable you. There's a list that are like weapons offenses, violent offenses within 5 years, I think, and then there's a couple offenses that are 7 years that are disqualifying. And an active warrant, I've requested an active warrant for your arrest to be added to that. Because we've had those situations where people have applied, they've had active warrants in other states outside of pickup radius, and they've applied for door-to-door salesman positions or vendors or mobile food truck positions.
I have no problem.
Any other questions from any of their council folks? Anyone in the audience that has any comments or questions on that? Yes, sir, come on up to the microphone. Please state your name and address and ask away.
I'm Wayne Pope. I operate Susie's Big Dipper in Piqua. First of all, before I say what I'm saying, I 100% agree with the reasons and stuff for what you have. Confused on because we've always been told we're one of the few trucks that does do the registration. And we've always been told that we operate with 15 teenagers in the summertime. all of them have to have background checks, and we have to pay $25 a piece for them background checks. So that really cuts into, because I can't say week to week which one I'm gonna use, so we have to have all of them done. Well, if you got 15 times 25, that adds up pretty fast.
Right.
The other part of that is, it's kind of a narrow scope, because you got, for example, we go out to one of the schools here in Troy. They have a clown come in, who I consider a vendor. He throws the kids on his lap. Now, why aren't we checking that clown to see if he's a pedophile or whatever? Because he's coming in and operating a business within the city limits. So that's the two questions I have. Is there a fee for the background check? But I understood them say tonight there is not a fee.
No, there would not be.
That's correct.
Under the new ordinance, there would not be a fee for that.
Not if you drop it right down or drop it.
So we just got to give you a list of the names,
Yep,
and that's it,
yep. And you can, like Chief said, you can add on to that
at any time.
at any time.
All right, that works out much better, because it's a big fee when we're paying that much for.
Mr. Pope?
I'm not sure about
And in
the
answer to your question, second part of that question with the school, you'll have to take that up with the school district, because any entertainment or things that go through the school proper, they do their own background checks and things like that. So I'm sure that they would probably be doing that with someone like that. But that's where your question belongs.
All right, thank you.
We're not part of that process.
Thank you.
You betcha. Any other questions or comments from, yes, sir. Mr.
One
Schultz.
other question on registering the employees. What information are we just get a name, or do we need like name and address, dates of birth? I mean, what type of information do we need when a vendor comes in and wants to register all their employees?
When we do a background check, we usually, at the very minimum, need name, date of birth. Home address, social security number help us confirm who we're doing the background check on. But we're just doing a local background check and public records background checks. We're not paying the state of Ohio to do a background check. So that's how ours is free.
Name and date of birth would be the two things that they would.
Yeah, but we usually ask for address, social security number.
Okay, just curious what they're asking for. All right, that's great.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay. What is your pleasure with this?
Go forward. Are you seeking emergency?
I triple checked that, no,
I
we are
didn't
not.
see it, okay.
It is unanimous with the committee that is present to accept the staff report and recommend to council. Any other items to come before the Law and Ordinance Committee? Then we are adjourned. Thank you all for attending.